Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to you all. We are having a galaxy of very, very eminent personalities in the field of music today to discuss various aspects of teaching, learning, and at the same time to bring out the facets of e-learning in music, in Carnatic music. What is e-learning and how we'll benefit by this? I have with me, first of all, I would like to welcome this. Nobody needs an introduction. I'm going to keep it very brief. So first of all, I would like to welcome Vidwan Neveli Santana Gopalan sir. Also wishing you a very, very happy birthday today. So leading guru, composer, and also a par excellence, excellent musician, Santana Gopalan sir, it's a pleasure having you. I can go on in the 1.5 மணி நேரம் full உங்களை பத்தியே பேசலாம். ஒவ்வொருத்தாளை பத்தியும் நான் ரொம்ப சின்னதா வச்சுக்கிறேன் so that we can get into the topic fast. We also have with us Vidushi R.S. Jayalakshmi madam, very senior musician, a great Vainika, and also a guru par excellence. Wonderful having you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vidwan Delhi Sundarajan sir, again a wonderful vocalist and a violinist, and most importantly, he has been contributing a lot also in the teaching arena. Wonderful having you, sir. It's a pleasure having you. Again, a very senior musician.
So happy, thank you.
Vidwan B. Balasubramaniam sir, pleasure having you. Balasubramaniam sir is again a senior musician, a great Carnatic vocalist, and also guru and faculty in the Wesleyan University in Connecticut, New York. So wonderful having you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Vidwan Surya Prakash ji, again a pleasure having you. A great Carnatic vocalist, again a composer who has composed many songs, and also a person who is now a very senior guru who's teaching a lot of students across the world. Wonderful having you, Vidwan Surya.
Namaskaram to all. Thank you.
Dr. Rajashri Ramakrishna, again a Vainika of repute, and also the head of the Department of Indian Music at the University of Madras. Again, a senior guru teaching a lot of students. Thank you. Wonderful having you. And
Thank you.
Most important person who is going to be putting this together today, Dr. Radha Bhaskar, a musicologist and musician par excellence, and also a guru. So wonderful having you. She's also the founder, one of the co-founders of Mudra, and the editor of the Mudra journal, Samudra. Wonderful having you. Over to Radha Bhaskar ji to take this program forward. Thank you all viewers for joining in. Please, this is a wonderful program that will benefit all the music teachers. I welcome all the musicians, music teachers, and students across the globe. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shashiji. Today, I think it's a very, very pertinent topic that has been given to us for discussion in the sense that the topic is Gurukul, e-learning of music, pros, cons, and more. Of course, he has very intelligently put cool there. And I think that in today's context, the guru has definitely to be a very cool person in order to maintain a good wavelength with the present day generation. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. And as he mentioned, we have a very eminent panel here in the sense that all of them are very, very distinguished performers, and they're also very, very distinguished gurus. So that makes a perfect combo, I think, here. Before I put the questions on to the respective panelists, I would just like to share my personal views in the sense that first, the Gurukulam as such, we see that in earlier days, it was the guru who selected the Shishya, in the sense that after gauging his dedication to the art, after knowing about how many hours he'll be able to devote to the cause of music, he was embraced by the guru. But today it's a twist of events in the sense that the Shishya is able to choose his own guru, in the sense that whomever he wants across the globe, he can have access as a guru and he can learn music. The second thing is that many gurus earlier, when the Shishyas were a part of the Gurukulam, they used to spend years listening to the guru, trying to imbibe the art more by listening, more by attending his concerts and being a part of the platform, sitting there right there and listening intently, or rather more silently. But today we see that the concept of learning has changed totally, where it is more structured, more methodical, more time bound also. All this we'll be discussing now. Then, but the plus point I would say is that e-learning that has been the in thing today has saved a lot of time for both the guru and the student, in terms that we are able to really structure our classes according to the time. And also the concept of distance has been really shortened, in the sense that we don't have to drive miles, or we don't have to drive hours together to go to a guru, where you are just able to switch on your computer, your laptop, or your mobile, and just learn music at your own comfort of your own home. And of course, another important point is that in the Gurukula system earlier, we mostly had male members as part of the Gurukula system, because it was a taboo to send ladies to be staying with a guru and learning the art. So, but today that has opened up the vistas. The e-learning has opened up wide vistas, in the sense that ladies also are able to learn music in a free manner, not like earlier before. Now they're able to get access to learning, and they're also becoming very, very eminent performers. In fact, there are so many women performers today because of the fact that e-learning has facilitated this aspect of learning. And finally, before I move on to the topic, also the point is a very pertinent point we're going to discuss, is about earlier how the student had to wait for a signal from the guru to perform, in the sense that he had to learn for 10 years, 12 years, and then after the consent was given by the guru, he was made to perform. But today it's a very different situation, where the guru has to tailor his course such that he is able to motivate the child to perform early, because there is also pressure from the parents asking when the child will start performing, when the child is ready to perform, and the child is ready for competition, and so on. So there are different areas we're going to discuss now about all these aspects of e-learning, in the sense of the positive sides and the flip sides to it. First of all, I would like to welcome Neyveli Santanagopalan sir here. And as we all know, I would just like to make the background clear, so that you understand how he has been a part, or rather he's been an integral part of the Gurukula system, having stayed with the guru, having been with the guru for hours together. It was not a time-bound kind of a learning, where he not only learned music, but the art of performance, life approaches, and many more things. But today he has modified himself a lot, I would say, in terms of the traveling down the journey of a teacher, where he has really created so many effective tools to teach students effectively within a short span of time. So can you share with us, sir, how you are able to maintain this kind of e-learning module that you have started so effectively, and all over the globe we are seeing that you have students. So can you share about your experiences first, sir?
Thank you so much. See, it all developed slowly with experience. And my passion to teaching is as good as the passion for learning. So it so happened that my Guruji, even while doing Gurukula Vasam, he made me teach his junior students like that. So teaching has come to me in a very natural way, I should say, with the blessings of my gurus. And maybe some 30 years ago, I was requested by one of my students to send recorded lessons in cassettes to US, okay? Then they will record the lesson and send it. So now you can imagine how much time it will take for one lesson to reach them and the recorded lesson to come back to me. Because I didn't have a phone at that time, I should confess, okay? So it was how it all started. And slowly, you know, the technology develops. And I should say, in fact, I should acknowledge Delhi Sundarajan ji is my techno guru who taught me how to send an email. So I should acknowledge it. So, but he says, I have gone Guru Kumijana Session. But so what happened, slowly this cassette system, then through phone I started teaching. Then came this computer, Skype, Wi-Fi, and so many learn through Guru schemes, so many, what to say, so many people came up with ideas to connect the Guru and the Shishya. So I was part of everything. So that is one inquisitive nature in me. How to, so we have decided that online teaching is going to be there. So how and all we can effectively improve it. And my another aim was also like this, I was always imagining how it would be nice if I go for a walk while teaching. But now it is possible, with the phone, the smartphone came and I have a headphone, or now I have the AirPod, and happily complete my walking, and also the class is over. So the musical aspect or health of the student is taken care of, and my physical health is also taken care of. I'm so happy that it is happening. And the next level of challenges I faced was too many students approaching me. And I didn't have the heart to say no. I always have the heart to refer them to some other guru. I think many of whom here are, my preferred gurus. But we cannot be, but they think I am the best guru. So every student thinks their guru is the best guru. So that feeling we have to create and maintain. Creating that feeling is easy, but maintaining is very difficult, because they think as a guru, I know everything and I will take care of their well-being. Okay. So what and all I have to do. So I prepared myself slowly, and now I am doing anything and everything for them, whatever is possible. For example, now my students are coming up with many videos, for example, Kshetra Kritis, and they ask me to give a message and introduction. So which makes me a constant learner. So this is my experience. So now maybe at some point I thought I'm a guru, but now I never think like that. Let them see me as a guru, but I will remain as a learner, because they are making me constantly a learner by asking some kriti, which can you teach this? Can you teach this? They see, because as a student, they cannot ask, do you know this kriti, sir? So they will ask some kriti, can you teach this? I will say, come tomorrow night. So I would learn it, notate it, and prepare myself. So I feel blessed that way, that this whole teaching system keeps me as a constant learner. So, and also this time, you asked me some.
Now, quickly, I would like to know, like, in the sense that you are having students all over the globe. So do you maintain a common patantra, or how do you go about teaching? If it's a composition, for example.
Patantra. Patantra, see, my school, my Guruji Seshagopal sir, the school of thought is like, you have a basic patantra, but you are allowed to, and also you should, whenever an apt Sangati occurs to you, you should include it. That's school of thought we come from. So I have a basic structure of a patantra, and I always give some optional Sangatis, not to baffle them, but when I do a class as a group, some very bright student, who can catch anything, they will be there. And also some level of students who need to be taught the basic structure. For example, during this Corona times, I conduct classes almost every day. So many students come of varying degrees of levels, and I take up a kriti, I teach raga, I give a structure, I don't hesitate to teach raga, tanam, everything I teach. And then it will be taught to a medium level student. Then I choose an experienced student or a senior student, and immediately I will change my approach. So the Manodharmam level will change. That it is a listening experience for the other students also. So this is the way I do it, and the notation is promptly sent. And when they record the lesson or do the learned version to me, I am very particular that they should maintain each and every nuance of the Sangatis. But tell them, don't expect me to follow the Patantra.
Understood.
During the concerts.
I think there are some basic ideas you've thrown to us regarding the e-learning process. I will come back to you for a more detailed discussion. I'd like to ask Dr. R.S. Jayalakshmi the question in the sense that she is a eminent Vainika who's been teaching students individually and also as part of the institution. She was at the Madras University as a faculty. Now she is also with many more institutions. So what are the hurdles that are posed by e-learning in terms of instrumental music?
Comparatively, instrumental music is a little bit difficult thing to teach through Skype. First thing, the lagging. If they put the finger in a, especially I'm going to talk about Veena, if they put the finger in a particular fret and pull it, it will reach very late. It come very lately. So we don't know whether they are doing it properly or not. These things are there. But it is also what Sar said is correct. Still we are learning. We are in the learning process. Teachers also learning. So how to tackle that? How to teach? Apart from this, what your hurdles or problems. So it is a challenge. So sometimes I ask them to record and send it to me. So by listening that, I am able to find out where they are doing mistake and how to correct it. So, but I never send any of my recordings because then I have to play according to their standard. Then I will get the phrases like that. So generally I won't do, but I made them to do it in the next class. When they come to the class, I will ask them to do play the phrase which they didn't get it properly. I assess it and I will do it. I am teaching in Silicon-Andhra University also. There actually I'm taking vocal only. The exam conducting everything is a problem only. To some extent, we can accept that the e-learning is what do you say? It's not like the face-to-face learning, because like that 4 or 5 students will be there. One by one will come and learn. So that much time we have to teach the same lesson. We have to teach so many times individually for each student. But it is also an interesting thing because the happiness is we are teachers. We are making other students to grow. It is the main happiness for a teacher. Performing is one thing, but making the other students to sing or play, that joy is really very wonderful. So in that way, whatever problem I am facing in teaching through Skype or Zoom, I am somehow managing. But for my age, it is a difficult thing. That is also, I have to say, you are all youngsters. For me, it is a difficult thing because Sar said before 30 years, there is no
recording facility.
But nowadays, everything is there. But I am very far from that technology. So I have to learn first. It is a big task for me. But anyhow, I am doing, but the recording, especially through Skype, they are recording everything. So if they want to see it again, they can do it. In olden days, if I teach, my teacher used to teach a single line to me. I have to remember it when I traveling to home. Everything I have to keep it in mind. Immediately after reaching home, I took the veena and started practicing before forgetting that line. That things are not there now. They can rewind and check everything, and they can do, so that the concentration is less now. I'm sure they say. the concentration, because anyhow, they are having it on the hand. Not all students. See, there are so many students who are very, very, very interested in music. Some students are forced by the parents to learn music because the foreign students, they are in another country. They want to maintain the culture of Indian music. So the parents are forcing them. So that type of students never have interest in music. So that people, our students will, they will do it very lethargically. But anyhow, the university teaching is for the purpose of only degree and job. Within that time span, within 16 weeks, in 1.5 hours, 10 students. So how can we made everyone as a Pakka musician or a Pakka student? Anyhow, everything is a challenge for a teacher.
Thank you, ma'am. Those were very valuable inputs, I would say. But madam is again being very modest because I was a student also at one point of time at the university. And she's extraordinary teacher in the sense that anybody who doesn't know anything about music is not able to even sing, she would make them sing so well. That was her innate ability as a teacher, where it was not just about training or teaching students who are already well equipped, but trying to make even those who are not able to sing come into the fold of music, develop an interest in them, and also bring them to a higher level. And what she said, probably I can tell that probably a student at the level of 9 or 10, that kind of a level, they don't need to be really trained, but somebody who's at level 1 to even bring them to the level of 2 or 3 is a big challenge. And that's where I think madam really succeeded very well. And those Balu sir is here, Rajeshri madam is here, so they would know what an extraordinary teacher she has been all through in terms of bringing and inculcating interests, especially in an institution. This is a big challenge because there's such a varied variety of students. As she said, some of them may not be even interested. So that's where I think she really plays a very important role, and now she's continuing through the E mode. I would like to now talk to Sundarajan sir about his methodology of e-learning, in the sense that I personally feel that teaching a song or teaching about a dozen songs or 50 songs is one thing, but grooming a performer is another thing. So you have groomed really many performers through your teaching process. So can you share about what are the ideologies or what are the methodologies you adopt to groom a performer?
Thank you very much, Raji. First of all, like you said, grooming is what it is all about. Actually, more than anything else, I think the duty of the teacher, as all the teachers do, is to inspire the student. The teaching itself, I think, should be modeled on such parameters so that the student has the enthusiasm. As Madam said just now, there are many students who will be there who may or may not be so much interested, but because of, especially in America and other countries, because of the interest and the earnestness of the parents to have their children continue this wonderful tradition, they would, accept to do that. But there have been so many instances where, despite the fact that we would sort of be forcing them to actually come and learn it, after some time, after they go to college or after they graduate, and there comes a moment when they realize, oh my God, what a great treasure I have got. They would be thankful to their parents at that particular point of time. So I think, as my Guruji, Sangeeta Bhushan Sri Janakiraman sir used to say, he himself was a very well-trained, well-established vocal musician also. So the concentration mainly used to be on vocalizing the things. As Madam just talked about, and you had asked a wonderful question about what are the difficulties which we face when we teach instrumental music. And when we began, when we learned that there was no such thing as recording at all, we never recorded anything. Everything was to be learned at that moment by constantly thinking about it. And after, and I think in that process, our mental faculties were also constantly being enriched. The mere fact that we didn't have the support, or this aid of relying on some external devices itself gave us this, developed our innate ability So this was the thing, and slowly as the recording started, and then of course now the online learning, and we after some time we started listening to, we ourselves listened to a lot of cassettes, because I myself, I was in Delhi, and for me it would be a great thing, golden opportunity to listen to the great stalwarts at that time who would come occasionally, come to perform in Delhi, and we would be so enthralled to listen to their music. Other than that, we listened to all the cassettes and all those things, and after that came the time of recordings, and totally being relying upon recordings. There was a phase which came. So the famous musician Sri T.R.S. sir used to say, somebody asked, who is your guru? He totally learned from the tape. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Tape of Maheshwara. So the tape, apdi. So we started relaying, but that is not to say that that medium has not helped us. Now, it is such a wonderful medium now, for as Santanagopalan sir was saying, and by the way, he gave me the credit for teaching him that it is not at all that. We had a wonderful tour of viewers at that time, and we used to just, after a concert, we used to just sit down and just look at the computer, and now Santanagopalan sir has taken it to a different level altogether, I will say, in so many different mediums, such innovative ideas. So those are the kinds of things which we need. Especially things like what Madam was talking about, the lag and all those things. It is very true. It is very difficult for us, be it vocal music or especially in the case of instrumental music. And one more thing I noted is that there comes a stage when the students approach us to learn from us. They are very sincere. All the students, all the parents, they observe whatever is going on around them. And then they make this decision to, like you were saying, they are very, very, very keen to come and learn from some musician. So we have to decide whether it is a suitable candidate for us to be able to teach them, because everyone has to do justice. So when we devote our time, we expect that the student has to be sincere and learn. And after teaching for some time, there must be something. We must feel happy. The student also must feel happy that something constructive has happened. So for that, today this medium is wonderful. And if you consider things like what stage a student should be taught and these other things. So I generally do not take the beginning students because it is not possible how to sit, even the posture, the way to place the hands, and so many things are there. So this is not at all possible in the medium of style. But after a certain stage, then I start accepting students from that level. And mainly, I think as far as the grooming of the student is concerned, I think the emphasis is to be placed on the attitude, the way they are with the guru. And, like in the earlier times, like we were saying, we are always by our gurus, and we have the grace all the time. In today's time, it's a different thing. So on one hand, it has its own great merits, that it has reduced the distances, and anyone is able to approach a guru and learn right from their home. But I think it misses certain nuances, which may not be so negligible after all. It may be very great. Like suddenly the guru may feel like saying something, and at that time the Shishya will be there. It may be any time of the day or night. It doesn't matter. Something will come, and that will be something such a treasure. So these kinds of things probably are missing when we have a structured kind of format. It has its merits. We have a structured kind of format, and we have to take care of time also. Previously, we didn't think about time. Now we can't afford to do that, because so many students are there to learn, and their time is also of essence. They have every student nowadays is doing so many things. If you ask everything, he is into everything, which is good. So to be able to do justice to that, we also have to take care of the time and everything. So the grooming happens by the constant inspiration we give the student, by making the student understand the value of the great stalwarts who are there, to make them listen to their music. to make them understand the nuances, all the great things they did, and create an interest and awareness in them, to pay respect to them, to listen to their music with real devotion. I think that is what really matters.
I think you've thrown open some very wonderful points for us. I would like to ask Mr. Balu now here. In fact, the question of or the concept of time today is a very vital issue, and he was also talking about that before. He has been a part of the Madras University in terms of a student, and he also taught there for some time. In fact, he taught me a few kritis also. I don't know if you remember, like Every Mata I learned from you. I still remember that song. So that was a different kind of an environment where it was just like, singing in abandon, everybody sitting at close quarters, surrounded by the students, the teacher in the center, doing the Kalpana Swaras in full rounds. It was a different kind of an atmosphere. Now he's moved to the US, and now his concept of teaching, I'm sure, has changed much, in the sense that there the people are all the more particular about the time, in the sense that if you have a class for 40 minutes, you have to finish by the 39th minute, because there'll be other students waiting to come into the class. So this concept of e-learning as part of your being a faculty at the US, how much forward have you taken it? Can you share that with us?
I think it's going to be Elarkan Maskaram. So it's going to be mostly e-learning in the future. But I experienced just during this quarantine time. So I used to teach everything through one-on-one on face-to-face lessons. I never taught any courses except some Skype lessons, especially for American students. But I came with I have a lot of experience learning from institutional setup and individual teachers. But here, especially when I'm teaching for non-Indians, it's a big challenge for me. In fact, they should understand this Shruti, what is Shruti, Tala. That itself take a semester for them. And as Sundarajan sir mentioned, it's very tough for them to sit on with the cross-legged position. So I used to say them that if you sit properly, I'll get extra credit for them. so teaching this lessons, what I learned from Vishwa sir, because he was teaching for so many years for non-Indians. So he came with the idea, visualizing music. That's very important, because just like a painter who wants to paint a picture, he has to have the shapes and shades of the painting. Just like that, he used to teach me, you should know the shape of the sound. That you cannot draw or something, you have to imagine. So for that, he used that unique notation system, writing all details, even for a small movement, melodic movement. So he used to write the notation for that. When he taught us, it was very difficult for me to understand this, in the beginning, but it took about a couple of weeks. And then it gives, the strength for you to understand your own music. So I use the same methodology for the students. And then timing, it's very difficult. It's just 13 weeks, one semester. And then within a 13-week semester, you have to teach them at least some Geetams or that, for the beginning students. So I cannot hold everything like Sarali Varisai, Janta Varisai, or Alankaram. We cannot do that. So I trained them to understand the sounds like Re1, Re2, Ga1, Ga2, and then visualize visual representation of that Gamaka. And I start this Gamaka from Geetam itself. For instance, Ma, Pa, so that should be Ma, Gama. I have to write everything. And then you'll have a special symbol for that, Ma, Gama, and then I use the symbol for the next time when I use, Ma. So this kind of a visual representation really helps for students. And during this quarantine time, in the first half of the semester, I worked with them face to face. But in second half, it was really, really challenging for me to, because 99% I get only non-Indian students. And the time is also very important. They cannot sit just after 1 minute of their class time because they have to run for another class. So whether you finish it or not, even if students learned or not, you have to finish the time. So here it works, in this country, time is very, very precious. And then especially when you go to study private lessons in music and arts, so they just teach half of a class and they'll finish everything by 29 minutes. And then within last minute, they'll wind up everything. So this is how the system works here. In addition to that, I use, I think from 2005 and 6. So the university have this, online exchanging the materials like audio, notation. So we have a setup like a Moodle. So it's you can share your teaching lessons and audio and video, and then notations, everything. And usually I come to December season for a music festival. By the time the semester won't be completed, so what I do, I ask them to record and send the video showing the tala and singing everything through online. So I grade them when when I'm in India. So this system, even though it's sophisticated, it's not easy to work with the non-Indian students. They have to have online one-on-one, face-to-face lesson setup. So I don't know what I'm going to do for this fall, because they said still it's going to continue this, the quarantine time already. I had a bunch of students in my class. They usually enroll in early spring or mid-spring. At the time, it was so many students. Now, I think I get only half of that students. It's a reflection of quarantine. I mean, coronavirus. So I think I shared
you did share a lot of very interesting points in the perspective of what's happening in the US. I will now request Surya Prakash ji to share his views, in the sense that he's been training many students all over the globe. The question of two things I would like to share, answer that. First is the time constraint, in the sense that when you learned, I'm sure that you didn't have this concept of half an hour class or 1 hour class, and then opening the computer and then shutting it off at 30 minutes or 60 minutes. That kind of a concept was never there. And it was all about, the music penetrating into you all the time, when you are with the guru. That's one thing. And today I also find that it's very challenging to sustain the interest of the student, in the sense that there is so much expectation even from the parents as to when the child will perform, whether it can go for a competition, what are the competitions it can enroll. So there are various issues where continuous sustained interest keeping is becoming a very big challenge. Can you share your views on that, please?
Hello, everybody, and my namaskaram to all. Actually, with my performing schedules and commitments, I'm able to take only a limited number of students. But still, by some divine destiny, I've got many students now. I'm teaching many. So, actually, regarding this teaching, I follow the old school. Actually, how I have learned from my gurus, the same methodology I follow. Only thing, the dissemination of information, for that I use the modern gadget. Okay, I have made no change regarding to my teaching or how I handle every class. Firstly, I would like to speak a little about my gurus, my tutelage. So, as I was learning from my first guru, it all started with Brahmai, the sense of awe and inspiration you get from Guru's discourse during the class. And my first guru always used to bring up the music of the old stalwarts of the early part of last century. for example, Maharajapuram Vishwanath Iyer, T.N. Rajaratnam Pillai, and Thiruvalangada Sundaresh Iyer. When he used to simply say that Rajaratnam Pillai used to give a flash in Todi, that used to be so like it used to be like an electric shock, and he used to turn his head and the diamond ear stud will sparkle. So that flash and this flash, they will both coincide. That's what he used to tell. And these may be very trivial things per se when we look at this, but it actually infused me with a sense of awe. I wanted to find out what is unheard. Okay, unheard music. I had no access to Vishwanath Iyer's recording or T.N. Rajaratnam Pillai's recording when he was in his prime during that time. But the way he used to sing Todi, and he used to say, so he used to play like this, that filled my mind with a sense of awe. So the first is awe, and the second is the when I learned from TVS Mama, he used to demonstrate the Begada of Sundaresh Iyer. So he used to just sing, and when we listened to it, somehow I was transported to another world, and I wanted to delve into that Begada and learn from the exact essence Sangatis of Begada.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to share here. From the stage of dwelling to now, we don't have the time to dwell at all. So
Yeah.
how do we dwell within 30 minutes to 60 minutes? That's the question I wanted you to answer, actually. Rather inspire the student to dwell.
Yeah. And it all started when I was in my tour on during the 2006, and people who wanted to learn from me, they listened to my kacheris and wanted to learn in this Bani from which I come from. So basically, it's actually the student who comes to the teacher, just like the old school. Okay. And every class, I give them the content of how the old stalwarts used to sing and what I learned from my gurus, how they used to demonstrate the Sangatis. Okay. For example, in Todi, நான் கொஞ்சம் பாடுவேன் பேசும்போது.
I think we have very little time. If you don't mind, you could quickly come to the question and answer. I would be grateful to you.
Yeah.
In terms of how we are going to sustain the interest and keep the child learning continuously. That's what I wanted to know from you.
Yeah, my answer is
because they also learn from multiple gurus, and then they leave one guru, go off to the other guru. These kind of things are happening. So the guru has a big challenge in terms of keeping up the interest, in terms of transmitting knowledge continuously to sustain the interest. So that's what I wanted to share with you here.
Yeah, I believe the interest is delving into the past and adding some value through the present, and that is the way you can sustain the interest. So when you invoke a sense of awe or brahmai in your student, the interest never dwindles.
But do you maintain a time schedule for them? Like 1 hour means it's 1 hour class, or how do you go?
No, that the duration is flexi. Some days I just go, the class goes for hours together, especially when they come during the summertime here. But online, it all depends on their attention span. And if they are not able to repeat the Sangatis that well, then means I just finish the class, because it will go above their head, whatever I sing after that.
So I think some basic modules you have in terms of teaching. I'll quickly come back to you again. I would like to go to Rajeshri Madam now, in the sense that she's learned personally from great Vainika Guru, but now she is the head of the institution. And now post-COVID, there are very severe challenges that she's going to face, I think, in terms of organizing classes, in terms of executing the examinations and other things. So how do you foresee the concept of e-learning to be taking the whole thing forward for you?
Her mic is muted.
Okay. Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
So the practicals we can conduct online or through Skype or whatever. But theory exams, we still need to get the guidelines of what the university has to do. But there we have modules of other universities, how they are conducting. They are sending the questions online, one question at a time. They give them half an hour. You write in a blank sheet of paper, immediately upload the answer or scan the answer and send it. And then you give the next question. So this is some short 1 hour question, that is examinations are being conducted. So maybe we will also take up something like that in future. And as far as modules creating for the next semester is concerned, yes, surely we have to go online. First, we are planning to record all the songs, provide the notations, and ragas, Rakti ragas, wherever we expect some bottlenecks, we may have to break it down, like what Dr. Balasubramanian was saying about. So we use the Veena basically to explain the Gamakas. So something like that has to be done. See, this is all new. We still have not evolved, nor have we started evolving. So it is a big challenge, I think, teachers, for us to get tuned to the technology first, and then get going with what the plan has to be. And so concentrating on the quality, I think we'll have to think of ragas which have bottlenecks, how we are going to solve the issues there. And apart from that, yes, the notations have to be provided. We have to give them the audio recordings. And 30%, this is only 30%. 7% is going to be assessment, where the student will have to record whatever they are singing and send it back to us for assessment. So it is going to be like the work, I mean, the time frame for the teachers and for the students is going to be the same. It's not like the students are going to spend more time practicing. We have to spend a lot of time now preparing for these tide over this situation. But I think it is not going to be tiding over the situation. It's going to be a permanent problem now, because we have to think of going completely online. Then but nothing can replace, the one-to-one learning and the face-to-face teaching, and in the music department, we don't have more than 10 students per batch. So it is almost one-on-one teaching only, So students who learn fast, we weed out the students who are slightly slower, and we do spend a lot of time with them. So that is going to get affected, surely.
So I think necessity is the mother of invention. So you have to really look up now new methodologies to keep things going. It's a big challenge for you as a head now, because all these years I've seen that you also had contact classes where, in spite of the fact that you were sending lessons, they had to come back to you for contact classes personally. But now I think that is not going to be possible really. So you have to work out. So I'll come back to you on more of your methods. I would like to go to Santana Gopalan sir here, that this kind of e-learning, you would also agree with me that it has opened up opportunities for many more people to learn. That is a positive side. But in the whole process, at what cost of quality is it happening? That's something I wanted you to share, in the sense that it's very alarming. I'm sure you would have encountered this, where a student from you is learning Varnam and a couple of kritis, and before they even learn about 10 kritis, they're already teaching somebody. And they're already having a school, or they're already teaching a bunch of students. So this kind of quality control, how you are able to really make in e-learning, is it possible at all, or it has to be this way?
Yes, it is possible. See, for example, some student who has learned from me thoroughly, at least up to a level, I encourage them to start teaching, because the rest of the learning happens when they become teachers, and they will know the difficulties. So they will become a better learner. So this is interrelated. So if they are coming to me to master performing art, there I want to make one point. When the guru has to go to any extent to make bring the best out of the student. One day, one of my student, in full form, she had such a wonderful pitch in the voice that day that I could not match her voice that day. So I had to, அவளுக்கு feed பண்ணணும். ஏன்னா அந்த நல்ல மூட் டு ரிசீவ்ல இருக்கும்போது அப்போ நமக்கு நம்ம வாய்ஸ்ல பேசாத கூட நம்ம சொல்லி தரணும். இந்த மாதிரிலாம் கூட நிறைய சேலஞ்சு சும்மா ஞாபகம் வந்தது ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டேன். அந்த மாதிரி வரும்போது so though I don't issue any certificate like any institution does, they will seek my permission. So I always know from them how they are teaching, what and all difficulties. So I try to help them. So I know who among my students are the best teachers and not that much good teachers, but I strongly recommend them to start teaching once they reach a level. Then only they will know the difficulty. So that is one thing. And what other question you asked?
No, mainly that's what, in terms of the quality, how are you able to have a check on it? Is it possible at all?
By God's grace, only good quality students come to me nowadays, but for which I have toiled much. Okay. ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டு ஏதோ பேச வந்தாலே போருங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் சொல்லி கொடுத்து ரொம்ப எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட் பண்ணி ஏதோ இப்போ வந்து ஐ ஹவ் ஓன் தட் ஸ்டேட்டஸ். ஒன்லி குட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கம் டு மீ. அது வேதத்திலேயே அப்படி இருக்கு. சகனாபவத்துலாம் கூட அப்படிதான். நல்ல ஸ்டூடெண்ட் எனக்கு வரட்டும், லெட் மீ டீச் சம், ஷேர் மை நாலேஜ் அண்ட் லெட் மீ co-learn from them. அதோட ஐ எம் ரெடி டு co-learn from them. அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இருக்கேன். ஸோ எனக்குன்னு ஐ டோன்ட் ஹாவ் எனி ஃபிக்ஸட் ஐடியா about teaching. So when I communicate with a particular student, I immediately have her jadagam, musical jadagam in my mind. It immediately comes to me. Like in laptop, you touch a button like that. So immediately I shift to her mode or his mode and try to interact with them and understand. So I don't have any problem at all. But they know on my best day, I can have a wonderful manodharma in scolding also. But not every day I scold, but when the day when they are lucky, they will have a lot of scolding from me. That improves their level of jnana, what I am expecting from them. So these are things. And also I allow them to listen to my practice sessions, which I do at home. So no class that day, they have to just listen to the practice session. And they are not allowed to appreciate me, but they are allowed to tell me what they learned from it, and they should record something good, tangible, whatever they took from that particular day's practice. So quality-wise, I make the students interact within themselves. So there are teacher assistants. Though I don't have a title for them like that, many senior students are helping me out to perfect a patantaram and tell the other students, no, this is not the way. So someday I will be like just a Mauna Swami, listening to the session happening. They will be interacting. So they will say, Sir sang only like this, not like this. So they will become teachers and they will teach, and I will interrupt whenever there is a need for clarification. So like any teachers, we என்ன வேணாலும் குட்டிக்கரணம் வேணாலும் போட்டு நல்லா பாட வச்சிருவோம். அதுதான் எங்களோட ஏம். அது வந்து ஆன்லைன்ல இருந்தாலும் சரி, நேரையா இருந்தாலும் சரி, ஒரே ஃபார்முலா தான். நீ நல்லா பாடுற வரைக்கும் தப்பிக்க முடியாது.
I think some wonderful points you have made in terms of making them listen to your practice session. That was a very wonderful point, because I was talking about the Gurukula, where you used to be near the Guru listening to his practice session. So through the technology, or use of technology, you're able to do that, sir. And also you're a strict taskmaster in terms of scolding, you said. So I think that is also very important, because just pampering the child all the time leads to nowhere many times, because glorification all the time makes the child think that he has really achieved much. So we have to show them their level also. I would like to ask.
Yeah, I believe by scolding you become closer, more so than by pampering. You do the pampering only after the performance.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Jayalakshmi, madam, today we see that in the e-learning process, I find that everything has to be given to the student like in a platter, in the sense that what you have been doing in institutions before in terms of creating formulas to teach even those students who are not able to have a good standard, you really devised many modules. I know that you to make it simplified, the music simplified so that it's been understood by the student. But I think as an extension of that, in e-learning also, where we have limited time, what are the strategies you adopt in terms of developing modules and developing formulas for easy learning?
Actually, the teaching composition is okay. Anyhow, if we give notation and make them to do so many times, they will repeat it, no problem. Whereas the Manodharmam is very difficult for them to get easily. For that, even now I am trying to do or find out some methodologies. For example, to teach Kalpanaswaram, I am using some words. It's already said so many times. Even then, to construct a Onavartanam for Aditalam, I asked them to sing some patterns in mind. Even Takadimi, Takajuna also 4, but while singing, it won't come suddenly. So I used to say Guru Guha, Guru Guha. They can't do it as Guru Guha like that. Takadimi will come, but Guru Guha never expanded. So our Bhavani, Kamala, Bharati, these are all the 4 patterns of 4. Long notes are there, 3 plus 1 is there, but this is the basic thing I used to, especially on Veena. So while singing, it's difficult. If they sing instead of Sarigama Guru Guha, then the music will get collapsed. But while playing, they for 1.5 avartas or half avartam, they will keep these patterns in mind and they used to play. After getting that, I make them to think of 3 plus 5. So Variga Paramasiva, like that I will find out some words. It's actually I applied it and everybody doing it very well. So I am happy with that. So this is some methodologies, and even for putting 2 talas in different talas in 2 hands. These are all some methodology, because Pallavi is there. In Silikanandra University, the Rahamtanam Pallavi paper is there. So some students are very much interested in learning. So they used to ask me, how you are putting two talas in different nadais into hands. So for that, I find out so many methodologies. And even I taught it in Madras University students. Within half an hour, everybody is well equipped to present the 2 hand talams with Pallavi. So it's actually by teaching, we are also learning. It's the only way. Every time I used to say, while you are teaching, learning is you are paying and learning. While teaching, you are earning and teaching. Not only, so teaching make you to learn as well as earn. So by teaching, I learned a lot. Definitely, it's a boon to me, a teacher. If I am a teacher, it's a boon by God.
I think Madam is always an eternal learner rather than a teacher. And that I always see that spark in her, in terms of even if a small child has got something, she tries to imbibe from them also. That's the kind of a motivational character she is always. I'd like to ask Sundarajan sir here the question of earlier, like, when the guru was in a mood, he used to teach and he used to learn, or it was just like very informal kind of thing. But now everything has become very consumer oriented, in the sense that sometimes a student may even demand or rather request and say, I want to learn this particular song, or I want to learn Alapana for a particular song. So how do you view this e-learning, whether it is good in terms of this kind of a consumer oriented approach to music?
Yes, there are a lot of things to e-learning. Basically, when such a scenario arises, when the student can definitely make a request that he wants to learn this, or and there is a particular way in which that particular thought is to be conveyed to the guru also. So especially, I somehow cannot relate to this being kind of consumer oriented kind of thing, since that I usually am not able to acknowledge that kind of thing, because there is a time and place for everything. In the sense that when one is ready for a particular thing, the guru himself or herself knows what is to be given, and that I think is a time-tested concept which holds good forever. So that being the case, I think that can still be followed now also. And all the gurus are proactive in that way, that they keep on assessing the students' progress. They know intuitively, they know what is to be given. I think that is a common thing which is there for all the gurus. All the gurus are equipped with that. They know that what is to be given at a particular time. But given the fact, still the student, we should at times give the student the liberty to sort of come and say, this is, I like this. I like Santana Govind sir very well put it, இது எனக்கு கத்துக்க ஆசையா இருக்கு சார். அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு தாட் எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் பண்றச்ச, then we also feel that he's there. If we feel that he is the right stage to learn that, so we can definitely, depending on his interest, the interest he has evinced, the kind of progress he has made, the kind of thing he has shown to us, depending on that, we can definitely teach that. And the point about which, about the time and all these restraints which are there, for that we do need to develop some kind of methodology and restrict ourselves to certain things, because we never know how much time a student will take to understand a particular concept. But with certain students, we will know what is the capacity of the students, and we can accordingly time our thing in such a way that we are able to give it to him or her.
Thank you. That was a wonderful point made. In terms of, as Balu sir was also making about the time constraint, I think we need not even really mistake it in the sense that students are very much time bound today.
Yeah. Hello? I can't hear. Oh,
in
sorry.
terms of the time concept that we were talking about before also, students are dabbling with so many things today. So we also as gurus, even if we have a great manodharmam on a day, I think we have to constrain ourselves sometimes. In the sense, recently also I encountered while I was teaching, I was really in a mood to discuss about something, and then the student was getting a bit restless and said, sorry ma'am, I have to attend an online class for my college. So at that time, we really need not mistake the student, but understand his situation and modify ourselves. I don't think any guru in the past would do that. They would have got annoyed and said, you better go back home. So things, how the teacher also has to change his attitude to cater to the needs of the present student is a very important thing. As much as the student tries to accommodate himself to the teaching technologies, the teacher also has to really modify himself and try to suit the times. That is very, very important. I would like to ask Balu sir here the question that you have learned from very great stalwarts. I know Vishwas sir and Brinda Mukta and all that. So from that level to coming down to teaching a non-Indian, how is the experience in terms of coming down to, that's also the very big quality of a teacher, to come to the level of the student and teach rather than trying to teach what he knows. So that is very, very important. How do you really make yourself come to that level?
Actually, it's not new. Already, people have, experienced that. In fact, Vishwas sir, he trained a lot of students, American students. And then when I was in India, Dr. Ramanathan sir sent a student. He was from, London. So I learned, how to teach non-Indian students, mainly, of course, that person, he had a little background. And here also in Wesleyan, some students, they have a very good background in Western music, but not in Carnatic music. So they are like a plain slate. So whatever I teach, for them, that's the South Indian music. So a lot of, faith in me. The students, they have faith in me. So regarding your, time constraint, this is, still in, I have to, go with the time, particular time. About them, in fact, if I want to teach them Manodharma or something like that, So I teach them, for instance, the same old method mentioned in a treatises like Sarigama. They have to sing it like Sarigama, Sagarima, Sarimaga, Samariga. So this kind of that, patterns. I ask them to understand the intervals. Our music is based on intervals, not like a harmony. So, what did your question one more time again? I'm a little confused.
My question was about how you're able to come down to the level of the student to teach them.
Oh, okay, right. So this is, that's my job. So I have to teach. That's the main thing, number one. And of course, sometimes I feel very bad for teaching the same material, especially beginning materials, on and on every year, every semester. Sometimes it's boring, and also there is no interaction. Interaction is very important between the teacher and student. So I miss that a lot here. But that's how the system works. So you have to work with the students, and in case if I want to teach them real compositions or manodharma, I select some students from the group. I teach them individually because I cannot match with all students. In 2008, I trained a bunch of students within a month. So they didn't even know Sapasa. So I had students from around the world, like Japan, Peru, South American countries, and Chinese. So I taught them Sri Kamalambike, Kamalambasam Rakshatma, Ananda Bhairavi piece, just 1 month, within a month. So I think it's in the YouTube also. So they sang so beautifully, and they didn't even know Sapasa and all that. So it's more passion. Of course, even though you lose your interest for teaching the basic, fundamentals, but still, sometimes if you get a very good bunch of students, you can try that new compositional type and improvisation and all that.
I think I still remember that wonderful YouTube clipping. It was just awesome, I would say, because training non-Indian students to that level was really an exemplary accomplishment on your part. I think it was done very beautifully. And everybody is sharing that appreciation here. As you said, without knowing Sapasa, how they did it, but it was done absolutely beautifully. I think that is also the way he has really devised methodologies to inculcate this kind of, the techniques to even those who are not initiated in music. Thank you for sharing that.
If you take away the notation, they cannot do it.
Okay. And that again shows how the teacher adapts himself to the environment in which he is to make himself a successful teacher. Thank you very much. I'll go to Surya Prakash. I want you to share that in the sense that you're teaching through e-learning, but then how effective it can be in the absence of one-to-one learning. Do you really go back to US sometime and sit with the students and work personally with them to complement this teaching, or do you think this is adequate?
Yeah, it works both ways. I go to the US and they come here. And every class, I pack the class with content so that it sufficiently, even if they have lesser number of classes due to my performing schedule, they are sufficiently covered and they have enough material to contend with. So it's compositions and manodharma and raga lakshana and talking about stalwarts of yesteryears, trying to inspire them. And it's a combination of all these things. And when they come here, it goes on for hours together. So it's really fulfilling. And with the current times, we have to adapt to the process of e-learning and the time constraints. And even if it is a 45-minute class, I pack the 45 minutes with content on the raga, on everything, and give them enough material and give them exercises, homework to come back for the next class.
I think that's a wonderful point. Rajeshri, I would like you to share about the fact that now that e-learning is going to be the order with so many other constraints happening in institutions, what kind of methods you're going to adopt? Before you used to give them cassettes and other things to learn the music. Now, will the interaction happen through Zoom or some other methods you're going to use to bring together students and teach them?
See, one is preparing now. It has to be on a parallel modules have to be created. One is the notation, the recording, then 30% component I told you that face to face. So that should be planned maybe through Skype or through Zoom or whatever, or a live class. Now, if the government gives permission per class, I think they may give permission for 10 students or 20 students or whatever. I think it will happen later with all your social distancing and all that. They will be creating a classroom with a fewer number of students. So with that, we should be able to have one-to-one. But there has to be assessment has to be really pakka. So like we must have every 10 days you have a kind of a planning where you take stock of what has been covered and what has to be covered. So we have to be constantly pushing them. Otherwise, I think students will just relax and wait till the exams come to practice, and that may not be effective, So to effectively do, I think this follow-ups have to be very perfect. So we have to think of ways of doing.
In terms of holding the exams, how are you planning now actually? Because practical exams, we generally have it
No,
one-to-one.
practicals won't be a problem. Actually, 75% of portions are practicals. So that will be done maybe through any of these mediums that you already have. Theory exams, we have to still plan. We must have objective. We cannot have the whole exam as objective type. Only some 20% can be objective, 80% has to be, written. So for that, we have to plan. Maybe we have to have assignments. Maybe 20% of that can be assignments. Maybe 60% can be, or maybe they may be asked to present, maybe do a PowerPoint presentation on whatever lessons they have learned. Something like that. So we have to be more interactive and make them speak up. At least part of it, if they can express that they've understood, maybe part of it can be written. So the component of the written examination is going to now change, I think, in the future. You won't have a 3-hour examination has to be now revamped, and we have to think of something else.
So a lot of planning on the way, I suppose, to change according to the times. Santana Gopalan sir, I would like to quickly ask you one question about teaching of Manodharma through this e-learning. That is, have you any particular modules even for that, or Manodharma as learned by you is the norm?
See, I have done some new experimentation to inspire them into Manodharmic world. For example, I have asked my students as a group to compose a Varnam in their chosen ragas, so that they know the significance of the Varnam, and they will to test for themselves whether they have properly understood the need for a Varnam and the greatness of a Varnam. And sometimes I would ask them to tune a Tiruppugal or a Bharatiyar song. So this is, this is not directly teaching them, but this is also one way of initiating them into Manodharma. Okay, Manodharma is creativity. So, and one day, before I may forget, I want to add this point. One day, what I did was, I played Shankarayar's version of a Kriti and practically taught them. In fact, I co-learned with them from a recording. Okay, so, and it really works. How to learn from a recording. And sometimes I will tell, suppose they want to learn a Kriti which I don't know. Okay, either I should have time to know and internalize it and then teach, or else I gave them this suggestion, like, go to the 10 different versions of that particular Kriti, listen to it, go to the meaning of it, imagine how Tyagaraja would have sung it, and how the most senior-most Vidwan of the SL generation has sung it, and the latest version, compare it, then you can take the Pallavi from one Vidwan, the Anupallavi from the other Vidwan, because sometimes by parts, it is logical and good from a Vidwan. So after in Charanam, they may have done something, you know. So I teach them how to take the best out of everyone. And also, you know, whoever has the passion, they only can be, you know, initiated into Manodharma. அது ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயம். But அந்த மனோதர்மம்ங்கிறதுனா you take the horse to the pond, but it has to drink the water-ங்கிற மாதிரி. But as always, my Guruji has advised me, 99% is perspiration. Only 1% is inspiration. Yes, always I hold that. அதனால I make them work in different ways. For example, இப்போ Swaraprasaram is going on in my class. So Sariga Sagari, like Balu sir was telling, Sariga Sagari, Riga Sari Saga, like in Marila. So different ragas la paadu to homework. Lot of homework na kudupa. Suri Sonar he packs the 45 minutes with the lessons. But I don't do that. I take it in a very leisurely way. I impress on them on just one point, but take away home, you know, but homework will be a lot. They must do. Like that, I do that. And one thing I have found is when the best student sings, by mere peer pressure, the next level student automatically, psychologically wants to improve to that level. So that works.
No.
These are all some of the
some good points.
conclusions.
Thank you. Madam, I would like to ask you, since you also been with the institutions, how to keep the interest motivated? That's one question I've also been, because when you are directly in contact with the Guru, it's a different kind of a chemistry actually. But when you're so distanced, whatever be the technological development, there seems to be something missing in terms of the personal rapport, the emotional, you know, kind of a relationship. So to keep the students' attention and the interest sustained, what do you think are the steps we could take as teachers?
Yes. Actually, the students who are learning from me as a individual way, that is not in the university level, they ask me whether, like Sandhanam sir, I also agree with that. If there is a concert in a temple, I allow them to do it. They only know 2 compositions, doesn't matter. Only 2 kritis they will know. Sing one, play one varnam and try the 2 kritis. With simple raha labana, I teach it. Not, I never write it and make them to memorize it. But some phrases from the composition, I will ask them to play continuously without break. From Pallavi one phrase, from Anupallavi one phrase, from Charnam one phrase, and make them to அது ஒரு கொஜண்டா ராகாலபனையா பண்ணி அதை பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணி அதுக்கு ஸ்வரம் இந்த மாதிரி சம் மெத்தடாலஜி வச்சு ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணி கச்சேரி பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொல்லுவேன். ஸோ அதுக்கு நம்ம இன்னைக்கு ஹோம்ஒர்க் கொடுத்து பண்ற ஒர்க்கை விட இந்த கச்சேரிக்கு பண்ற ஒர்க்கு டபுள் பங்கு பண்ணுவோம். தே ஆர் ரெடி டு என்ன சொல்றது, அவங்க மாணவ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கிட்ட டீச்சர்கிட்ட போனா பரவாயில்ல, பப்ளிக்ல போக கூடாது. அதனால அதுக்கு தே வில் டூ ஹார்ட் ஒர்க். அந்த மாதிரி அவளை மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ அந்த இன்ட்ரெஸ்டும் இருக்கும். ஒரு கச்சேரிக்கு கொஞ்சம் அப்ளாஸ் வந்துருச்சுன்னா ஃபர்தரா அதை பண்ணணுங்கிற அந்த மோட்டிவேஷன் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா வரும். திஸ் இஸ் மை வே ஆஃப் making them.
So that also brings down the point that at a very early level itself, you have to start giving them opportunities to expose their talent.
Yes.
Quite unlikely of what was there before. That's what I wanted you to share. I'm sure that earlier this was not there, but today the situation is such that to keep the interest sustained, we have to provide a lot of opportunities, then also give them opportunities to participate in competitions. So continuously, as you said, these are opportunities to work harder.
Yes.
Because they are also facing the challenge of time amid so many activities. So these kinds of circumstances in which they are put to practice more and to hone their skills better, I think, isn't it?
Because they are not only focusing on music, so many things they are doing. Some are doctors. They are also learning. They also want to present a small concert in a temple, not a sabha. If they are not fit enough, nobody is going to give the second chance. If they really work hard, they will get further chances. So to motivate them, we have to at least encourage them. I never say, no, don't do. suppose if they are in Geetham level, I can't say, give a concert. If they are really good enough to perform at least a Kirtana without mistake and with good laya sense. Like that, I motivate them.
So I think today's scenario is such that we need to also provide a lot of opportunities to the students to keep their interest alive. That is one thing very, very important, because when they are so distant from you, that expectation is always there. Sundarajan sir, I would like to ask you this question about being adaptive, in the sense that today we see that time has been saved. Many things are there. In fact, part of this e-learning, one big advantage that we see is that, now post-COVID, even the student next door has to come through e-learning. That is how things are today because of these constraints that we are in. So from your end, do you send the children to competitions? How do you keep that spark in them keep going? Because I also see that students' attention span is very limited. And here, one more important question before we sort of wind off is about the children earlier learning to perform a concert of 2 hours, 3 years, like that. But now I see that this post-COVID, with the kind of technology that's happening, everybody is uploading their music, everybody is singing. And the singing span is so probably for 5 minutes or 6 minutes, one song is sung, and everybody puts their likes and their beautiful comments saying that it's extraordinary, exemplary, awesome, and everything. But I very much differ, and I'm rather concerned about the fact that the whole concept of a concert is getting lost, where presenting a single item becomes the performance. What is your take on this?
Very good point, Radhaji. I totally agree with you. I think when anyone performs, the responsibility is so much on the performer to do justice to our system itself, to our music. So whenever anyone is on the stage, that kind of responsibility has to be shouldered by the performer. When given that fact, it's not an easy thing, So, like you said, everyone has to self-assess. The gurus have to assess, and I'm sure everyone is doing that, as to what is the right stage for the student to be presented. Of course, this kind of time, now we are restricted by the time factor, like you rightly said, even after this, the post-COVID scenario is going to be nothing ever witnessed before. So, despite that fact, always there have been different kind of scenarios where we have slots of 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and performances like that have been there, which I think to some extent is quite a welcome thing to do, provided that particular student is nurtured well and taught. He is of that level, he or she is of that level when can be presented in front of an audience. So that, of course, Madam just said, it does give that student kind of impetus to perform. There's some kind of, now we need the present day generation, like what used to be there just for the music. We need some kind of target fixing for them to progress itself. I think we can cope with that. We can adapt ourselves to that kind of situation also, and tailor make certain things which could be apt for that particular moment. I think that can be done, as Madam was saying. So we have to devise methods like that, and accordingly plan things for them. And they will suddenly come and ask, sir, this is the thing I have to do next week. Can I perform? So depending on the student's capacity and how he or she is, we can decide, and we have the liberty to say that let it go for some more time. You need to practice so many other things. I think that kind of a judgment has to be done, and to make them understand that it is not so easy. We cannot just go and sit down and sing something and come, like you are talking about right now. Very valid point. I think that is very important and a very responsible thing. Everyone should definitely follow these kind of strategies. I think will work very well for that.
Thank you for those inputs. Santana Gopalan sir, I would like you to share your thoughts on this in the sense that two things come to my mind. First thing, of course, when I objected to this kind of rampant singing, people were very furious with me that what is your problem? If you don't want to listen, you just shut it off and go. That was the comment that came to me. So it's not about shutting on and shutting off. The concern about how the quality and the content and the nature of music is getting changed. Because Santana Gopalan sir, I remember vividly him performing 4-hour concerts for our Mudra. I also remember him singing one raga, one kriti, Shankarabharanam, still lingering in my mind, single ragam for 1.5 hours. So all those concepts seem to be now totally fading away, and it's becoming a 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute concert. So in the larger context of extending this e-learning to the performance also, what kind of damage, or do you think it is really okay to have this kind of changing trend?
See, what to do, Ma? We have to, adapt to the situation, current trend, So, see, a kriti, however long it may be, it comes to maximum 10 minutes, okay? So, if one can show excellence for that 10 minutes or 5 minutes, they can definitely extend it to 1 hour or 3 hours or 4 hours. It is in their hands. But if they have done a good job for that 5 minutes, suppose they have done full justice for a kriti, then that part is, we have to slowly keep encouraging them to take them to the next level. See, singing for half an hour, 1 hour requires a lot of in-depth knowledge, so much of practice, stamina, so many things are involved. So by singing for 1 hour, 5 minutes, in Facebook, their relatives are happy. They put a like, okay? So it's like telling them that I'm happy, I'm mentally and aesthetically also, I'm able to express something. So it is, as Sundarajan sir said, if the guru thinks the student can do that, it can be done. So I object to people, just thinking something and just because YouTube and Facebook is there, posting it, people will ignore it. But you yourself know.
No, but the element of concerts getting reduced in terms of time now. I mean, even the COVID has brought in several revelations in terms of, firstly, of course, a concert can be of 5-10 minutes or 20 minutes. Secondly, a concert sans accompaniment with just the tambura. That was something absolutely unimaginable before, because a kacheri meant violin vidwan, mridangam vidwan, and upapakwadiyam whatsoever. Today, the kind of situation we are put in, where we have to isolate ourselves. I think even this is extending beyond to concerts being a singular presentation. So that has been
the very definition of the word concert means coming together. So this cannot be a concert.
So we have to then definitely frame a new terminology at least for this. It can't be called sadhana, of course.
That is a big word.
So it can't be sadhakam, it can't be a concert. So I suppose now that we have really made a new way of presenting a concert, we have to also try to give it a name, I think, rather than saying that kacheri with the tambura that is there.
We'll think about it.
Finally, sir, before we wind off, I would like you to also sum up for all of us that this e-learning, will it be the order of the day henceforth? And do you think that even people who are coming personally to your Gurukulam that you have been having at your place, everything is going to change and everything is going to be through e-learning only in the future? What is your thought on this?
See, on a humorous note, when a student comes, we have to feed them with food, okay? Which means my wife has to cooperate, okay? Or I have to cook, or I have to ask the student to cook. Nothing is, see, it is both convenient for the guru and the learner. But, as all of us know, this is a serious, great tradition we want to hand over to the next generation, isn't it? So, as teachers, we should feel the responsibility all the more when it is happening online. So I try to narrate anecdotes, incidents. So if a student doesn't know about my guru, what use of me in teaching them? They should know the tradition. They should know a lot more about my guru than knowing about me. My Guruji, the parampara, tradition, and how many people have contributed to this what and all sacrifice they have done, all these things, and life values. Then only, so that's why I have in my mind, I want to make my students become a wholesome, complete gurus in their own capacity. I'm trying to do everything. As a, for example, I taught my daughter, Sriranjani, okay? So as a parent, I know what and all the next generation wants. They want crisp, up to the point, and affectionate way of teaching. So I consider all my students as my own daughter or son. So whatever effort we take, we are happy ultimately. Like that, slowly, I have it have in my mind whatever you mentioned about quality. The quality will not come on a single day. It has to come by experience. It needs a lot of time to blossom. It's not an easy thing.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful inputs. I think, in fact, this is a very, very vast subject in terms of how we have really transformed ourselves. In fact, all the panelists here are those who have learned from eminent gurus as part of the Gurukula. And now they have really changed their course in terms of how they can adapt themselves to e-learning and try to reach students all over the globe. So now it is actually a very, very big challenge, but then I think all of them have been doing it very successfully. And we just, I'm sure, at least I feel that we just had time to touch the tip of the iceberg, in the sense that each one only was able to share a bit of what they have really been doing in terms of transmitting their knowledge to the next generation by using technology. I suppose it warrants another big discussion in the terms of how, in a detailed manner, each one is actually adapting to the situation, adapting to the system, and trying to transmit this knowledge. But the point which very beautifully all of them brought out is that everyone, though they are a guru, they have to always be a student in terms of not only updating knowledge. Today, updating the technological skills is very important, because on a last note, I would just like to say that there are very, very great gurus, veteran gurus available for us. But then, because they are not adept at technology, we have lost many of them in terms of the teaching and learning process. I can name many who are confined to themselves and are able to teach only people who come personally to them, because they're not technologically savvy people. We are the losers, I would say, in terms of, because we are not able to learn from them. So that way, I think every guru, RSJ ma'am was also telling, but I do understand she has really adapted herself very well in terms of trying to match her wavelength with the next generation. So the guru is an eternal student. That is also something I came to know. And the second thing, of course, also want to emphasize here, that in e-learning, we need to teach the student precisely what he wants to know. That's very, very important, rather than trying to show off your knowledge and keep on for 3-4 hours or something like that. And again, of course, the time constraint and how structured, that is the most important thing. Today, music has become much more structured, organized in terms of learning because of this e-learning. Of course, there are flip sides to many things, and this also has them. But of course, this is going to be the future. And I thank all the panelists for sharing their wonderful views here. May I now give the thing to Shashi Kiran to give his final points on this whole thing.
Thank you, Radha ji. Before I start speaking, I think Suri ji has some point. So I would request you to make the point quickly, sir.
Yeah, regarding the performances by the students, I have got a hierarchy in my school. Okay, some are senior students who are performing for so many years. Some have just started, and some can perform only for 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes. We recently had a Zoom concert, 2020. So 20-minute concerts by everybody. So it was listened to by all the parents, all the students, every one of them. And at the end of the performance, we would give an appraisal of the performance. And even in the parents, they are very informed Rasikas. There are well-informed Rasikas who can comment very technically on music. So it went on very well, and it was a forum where the junior students got to listen to the seniors performing, and the seniors knew how to curtail their performance, the stuff in 20 minutes. ஒரு பானை சோத்துக்கு ஒரு சோறு பதம் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு 3 நிமிஷத்துல தோடி நன்னா பாட தெரியாட்டா அப்புறம் 25 நிமிஷம் தோடி பாடி என்ன பிரயோஜனம். ஸோ to curtail the performance, to curtail a raga alapana to 3 minutes, 4 minutes, give the essence. That's also a challenge which the senior students had. So it was a very successful festival, Zoom online festival. I called it Nada Zoom Maduram. So it went on really well.
Thank
So
you. Thank
it
you.
was a forum, like charity begins at home. So the students, when they perform in before their own peers, their own school students, they're inhibited. So after sufficient grounding in this particular playground, the home ground, they can go to the other ground and play. So that is the whole
Thank you,
point.
Surya Prakash ji, for that inputs. First of all, I would like to thank all the panelists, Vidwan, Neveli, Santana Gopalan sir, on your birthday, sparing so much time. Thank you very much, particularly between your busy schedules. And Vidushi, R.S. Jayalakshmi Madam, sincere thanks to you for coming online. I know you don't use technology much, but for making this possible for this. COVID has brought us to a new times when we can try different things. Thank you. Vidwan, Delhi Sundarajan sir, again, a pleasure hearing so many points. All of you had wonderful points to make, and it's a learning process for all of us. Vidwan Balasubramanian sir, who is also a professor at the Wesleyan, thank you very much. Beautiful insights on teaching foreign students using Vishwa sir's time-tested methodology. And Rajeshri Ramakrishna, wonderful points by you. And I hope universities will continue to do such wonderful work. Vidwan Surya Prakash, again, wonderful hearing you. It was a delight to hear all of you. Most importantly, Dr. Radha ji, for putting this in a very concise manner. I know the time was limited, but in spite of it, you brought out the best out of the panelists. This is a long subject. In terms of concerts or recitals of 5 minutes, I would say it is recital is a word used by the Westerners for a solo performance. They don't use something called concerts. Concerts is only when you have a team. So recital is the word they use. Whether we should use it, whether we should have these performances is a big debate. It's a new topic on its own. Concert management and maintenance and the quality and all that is a different question, which we will have another session, hopefully sometime, because it needs attention also. But at the same time, it's a very different subject. But as of now, I think the panelists brought out very good points that, what is done as an encouragement should not be treated as a full-time performer. They are still at the student level who are getting opportunities to showcase just a small glimpse of what they can potentially get to be and inspire themselves to the next level. So they're not yet in the realm of being termed as a performer, which we should all have a clarity. That clarity, I think we would all agree upon, and then take it further when hopefully they can become a performer and show us that they are all ready for the world to watch them. Till then, I'm sure their parents and friends are happy. So let us leave it at that for now. Thank you all for such a wonderful discussion. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for watching this. More from IMPL. Soon we'll keep you updated. Thank you.